What if you sold an investment property tomorrow, pocketed a six-figure gain, and the IRS essentially said, hold on to that cash, you don't owe us a dime this year? Sounds like something straight out of a late-night infomercial, right? Well, believe it or not, it's absolutely real, completely legal, and it's been hiding in plain sight for decades, tucked away inside Section 1031 of the U.S. Tax Code. Every single day, savvy investors just like you are using this powerful rule to seamlessly leapfrog from a modest duplex to a sprawling 12-unit apartment building, or from a small single-tenant office to an entire bustling strip mall. All the while, Uncle Sam waits patiently, sometimes indefinitely, for his cut. Stick around and I'll walk you through the exact playbook that makes this possible. But before we get started, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Here's the problem all real estate investors run into. Picture this scenario. You bought a single-family rental a few years back for, say, $300,000. It's been a great asset, and now it's worth a cool $500,000. You're feeling good, ready to sell, and eager to level up to something bigger and better. But then reality hits. After you factor in federal capital gains tax, state tax, and don't forget that pesky depreciation recapture, you could be staring down a tax bill north of $70,000. Think about that for a second. That's $70,000 you can't roll into your next investment. It's $70,000 that just disappears, shrinking your available capital. Now, compound that financial drag over 2 or 3 successful property trades, and suddenly you've effectively handcuffed your own portfolio's growth. Most investors feel utterly stuck at this point. Either they hold on to their properties forever, or they bite the tax bullet, pay the piper, and limp forward with a significantly smaller down payment for their next investment. There's got to be a smarter way to keep your hard-earned money working for you, right? And luckily, there is. Enter the 1031 exchange. Named after Section 1031 of the United States Internal Revenue Code, it essentially allows investors to defer capital gains taxes when they exchange certain types of property. Basically, the IRS gives you permission to sell one investment property, take every single cent of that gain, and move it directly into a new like-kind property, all while deferring the tax on that gain. The beauty of like-kind is its incredible flexibility. We're not talking about identical properties here. Raw, undeveloped land can magically transform into a bustling downtown apartment building. A cozy single-family rental can become a specialized medical office suite. The key is that both properties must be held for productive use in the trade or business or for investment. You can't just swap into a personal residence or a vacation home. The real magic, though, is that your money stays at full strength, continually compounding and growing into bigger, more valuable assets, instead of constantly leaking away to the Treasury Department. Think of it as an interest-free loan from the U.S. government, a loan you might never even have to repay if you plan your investments wisely throughout your lifetime. Now let's talk about the hoops you'll need to jump through, because this powerful tool does come with a few non-negotiable rules. First, and this is critical, you absolutely must hire a qualified intermediary before you close the sale of your relinquished property. This step is not optional. If you, the investor, even briefly touch the cash proceeds from the sale, boom, that's a taxable event and your exchange is dead in the water. Second, once your original property closes, a very strict clock starts ticking. Within just 45 calendar days, you have to formally identify your potential replacement properties in writing to your qualified intermediary. Most seasoned investors strategically list up to 3 potential replacements. Third, you have to close on at least one of those identified properties within a total of 180 days from the sale of your original property. And both those timelines begin when your original property closes. Miss either of those deadlines, even by a single day, and the entire gain from your sale becomes immediately taxable. There are no extensions, no do-overs, and surprise, surprise, absolutely no forgiveness from the IRS. All right, Let's run some actual numbers to illustrate the incredible power of this strategy. Imagine investor Stacy starts with a rental house that generates $200,000 in taxable gain. Instead of paying, say, $50,000 in capital gains tax, she rolls the full $200,000 into a larger fourplex. 5 years later, she sells that fourplex for a $300,000 gain, again utilizing the 1031 exchange to defer roughly $100,000 in tax, and moves into a 16-unit apartment building. Fast forward a few more years, and she makes one final jump into a 30-unit apartment building, and still deferring approximately $400,000 in cumulative taxes that she would have otherwise paid. Had Stacy chosen to pay taxes at each step, she would have needed an extra $400,000 just to keep pace with her own growth. Money she simply didn't have to spare. Compound that kind of strategic deferral over 20 or 25 years, and the difference can easily be 7 figures in additional equity and net worth, all built from the same initial capital. The numbers do not lie. Intelligent tax deferral combined with smart leverage equals incredible velocity for your real estate portfolio. Of course, like anything truly powerful, there's no such thing as a completely free lunch. While the 1031 exchange is fantastic, it does come with its own set of considerations. First, debt matters significantly. If you downsize your mortgage balance in the replacement property compared to the one you relinquished, the IRS labels that difference boot and taxes it accordingly. So to achieve full deferral, you generally need to acquire a replacement property of equal or greater value and equal or greater debt. Second, state quirks can really bite you. Some states like California track deferred gains and will chase you later if you move out of the state and sell without using another exchange. Know the rules in the state where you're investing. Third, your liquidity can dry up because your wealth is intentionally locked up in illiquid assets. So make sure you have an adequate living expense reserve, say of at least 6 months. And finally, the day you or your heirs eventually cash out of real estate entirely without another exchange, that accumulated tax bill does come due, along with the potential depreciation recapture. So you absolutely need to plan for that eventual reckoning. Or better yet, and this is a bit morbid but true, die while you still own the property. Why? Because your heirs will receive a stepped-up basis, and all of those deferred taxes could simply evaporate, never to be paid. As always, check with your CPA for tax advice based on your specific situation. If you're starting to see the power of 1031 exchanges, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It helps the algorithm show this valuable information to another investor who's probably just as tired of funding the IRS as you are. And if you want to learn more about 1031 exchanges and unlock the secrets of the tax code, check out the link in the comments below. So, should you try to navigate this complex process alone? In a single, emphatic word, no. Attempting a 1031 exchange without an experienced team is like trying to defuse a bomb blindfolded. You need a truly competent, qualified intermediary, a sharp real estate agent or broker who profoundly understands the critical 1031 timing requirements, and a tax advisor who has successfully executed more than 0 exchanges. Botched paperwork, sloppy identification letters, or even a flaky, inexperienced intermediary have cost countless investors 6-figure tax bombs, turning the deferral opportunity into an immediate, painful tax liability. Do yourself a massive favor. Spend the money on proven professionals. Trust me, it is far cheaper than inadvertently funding Washington directly with your gains. Always ask for references. Verify their fidelity bond, which protects you if they mishandle your funds. And for the love of all that is financially sound, don't try to figure it out yourself on YouTube. For a list of qualified intermediaries who specialize in facilitating 1031 exchanges, check out the Federation of Exchange Accommodators, or FEA, which is the primary national trade association representing professionals who conduct like-kind exchanges under IRS Code Section 1031. So what are some of the pitfalls? Beginners and sometimes even seasoned investors mess up 1031 exchanges in three very common, very costly ways. First, they close on the sale of the property they relinquished before signing the exchange documents with their qualified intermediary. This is a fatal error that immediately disqualifies the entire exchange. Remember, the qualified intermediary must be involved before closing. Second, they might identify 6 or 7 properties and mistakenly believe they can just pick the best one later. The rules are far stricter than that. You generally get 3 properties or more if certain tests are met, but you can't justify a laundry list of properties. Third, and this is a classic mistake driven by deadline pressure, they overpay for a junk property just to beat the clock, completely forgetting that a bad deal is far worse than simply paying the tax. My golden rule for any exchange is this: never ever let the tax tail wag the investment dog. Underwrite your replacement property with the same rigor and scrutiny you would any other purchase. If it doesn't cash flow, if the numbers don't make sense, or if it feels like a forced decision, walk away and just pay the tax. You'll live to invest another day with better capital and a clearer head. And there it is, everything you need to know about how to use 1031 exchanges. If you got any value out of this video, do me a favor and like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell so you don't miss my next video. I'd also love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions you have, so make sure to leave them in the comments below. And remember, if you want access to that free PDF roadmap to unlock the secrets of the tax code, make sure to check out the link in the comments below. So there you have it. This powerful loophole isn't shady or illicit, it's Congress sanctioned, a deliberate tool built into our tax code. Use it correctly, and you can literally hopscotch your way from a tiny starter rental to a multi-million-dollar portfolio without ever slowing down for the tax toll booth. But botch the strict deadlines or rush into buying a junk property just for the sake of an exchange, and you'll quickly wish you had just paid the tax bill in the first place. The key is to study the rules diligently, build the right team of experienced professionals around you, and then let time and the magic of leverage do the heavy lifting. Keep stacking those deferred gains, keep reinvesting strategically, and one day you'll wake up with a portfolio of robust, cash-flowing assets and a net worth that quietly compounded while the IRS waited patiently at the door, still empty-handed. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.